Howdy race fans, welcome back to my little show about motorsports and stuff that I like to call In the Pits with me, Stock Car Scott, here on the YouTube during racing season when I feel like it. Now I know I just did a show last week, but I'm afraid with all of the local racing schedule for the next 4 weekends, I just will not have time to write, to produce another show until late August. Yep, the next 4 weekends are chock full of super late model and K&N West Series racing at the 2 tracks over here on the west side of the Cascade Mountain Range in this state. So if you want to see some good racing and you live along the Interstate 5 corridor, the next 4 weeks are for you. First up this weekend is a special treat with the NASCAR Northwest Tour Champions reunion at Evergreen Speedway in Monroe on Saturday night. Gary Lewis has posted video saying he'll be there in his familiar number 73 orange super late model. So I guess I'll be breaking out my old Gary Lewis cap and t-shirt for Saturday night. Sorry there, Tyler Tanner and Molly Helmuth. I'm sorry about that. I won't be able to wear either of your colors that night because Gary Lewis, that's why. He was my first favorite Northwest driver, and I gotta give props, as the young folks like to say these days, to a guy I have missed seeing race over the past several seasons, as he spent more time here lately fishing. Well, good for him. But I'd like to welcome him back to the track from a big fan that appreciates all your effort that you're putting into this, you and Ralph and the whole crew. But that doesn't mean I want Tyler or Molly or Chad or Mike or Tristan or Donnie or Nama or any of the other drivers to just roll over and let the old guy come back and win, although that would be nice. No, I'll be there to see a great 125 lap race on the inner 3/8 mile oval, and that will be there celebrating Northwest racing history with a throwback paint scheme contest for the cars in the evening's feature race. I'm excited for a great night of racing in what's supposed to be some really nice, clear, but warm weather there. Hornets, mini stocks, and street stocks are also on the schedule with their heat races starting at 5 p.m. So get there early. Seems more and more racing series these days are embracing the throwback concept, as NASCAR started in the Cup Series each year at Darlington over the past few seasons. Now, I won't give all the credit to Dale Jr., but he did run quite a few throwback paint schemes before NASCAR embraced the concept. Earlier this week, I watched a K&N East race from Thompson Speedway in Connecticut, where a throwback race was won by Tyler Ankrum. But the real treat for me was seeing the number 40 of Anthony Alfredo that resembled the Coors Light Silver Bullet there, once driven by my first favorite hot shoe, Sterling Marlin. It was also the paint scheme taken to victory for the first Cup win of Jamie McMurray as he filled in for Sterling the rest of the season after Marlin broke his neck at Kansas. I still follow Sterling, and according to his Facebook page, he is supposed to race in Canada at a reopened and refurbished Jukasa Motor Speedway near Cayuga, Ontario, on my birthday weekend. That's when that's going to happen. I guess being a 2-time Daytona 500 winner will always get old Sterling a nice appearance fee to go along with his winnings. And it isn't like Sterling's just sitting back on his fame. He runs the local Pro Late Model Series at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, and he's done that over the years since officially retiring from NASCAR Cup racing in 2010. He even has a couple of feature wins there at the track where he grew up crewing and racing with his dad, journeyman NASCAR driver Cuckoo Marlin. Yes, I said Cuckoo. And now Sterling uses his notoriety and time that he has in retirement to work to keep the historic Fairground Speedway open as Nashville politicians scheme to line their pockets with a proposed redevelopment Major League Soccer project for the good of the people of Nashville. Please excuse me for being so skeptical, but I live in Seattle, folks. Oh, yeah, they need to have soccer, but the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway just needs to be left alone, where it will continue to serve the needs of Davidson County and make money for the community as a racetrack, weekend flea market, and local events center. You know, a fairgrounds. But that ain't good enough for some folks, even in the hometown of country music. I always thought country music and stock car racing went together like biscuits and sausage gravy. But, they already got a football stadium there in Nashville. Why can't their proposed MSL team play there? Anyway, back to what's coming up here locally. The Miller 200 is the next big super late model event we have to look forward to in the first weekend of August down at South Sound Speedway. This annual 200 lap feature usually brings out some of the best super late model drivers in the area for an awesome night of short track racing. Mini stocks and legends are also on the schedule for August 4th, which means I will hopefully get to see my buddy Ken Legault win in the mini stocks and Devin West once again spank the other Lexar Home Legends drivers. Then the weekend after the big Miller 200, it's back up to Evergreen Speedway for more super late models on the big 5/8 mile track on the 11th of August, along with the NASCAR K&N West Series for 175 laps. Maybe if I get there early for the meet and greet with the K&N drivers again this year, I can make the broadcast like I did last year. Hopefully that's not too much star power for NBCSN. It is always an interesting race put on yearly by Evergreen Speedway, showcasing much of NASCAR's up-and-coming talent. This year, Haley Deegan is the one to watch, according to Kevin Harvick. But I also like Ryan Partridge, even though he drives one of those Sunrise Fords. Also with the K&N West Series will be 100 laps on the big 5/8 mile track for the Speedway Chevrolet Super Late Models, sponsored by Tyler Tanner's partner in marketing, Heritage Distilling. Mini stocks and street stocks will also run on the 3/8 in sport races that night. Hopefully good weather will still be with us by that time. Then the weekend after the K&N West 175 at Evergreen Speedway is the Northwest Super Late Model Series return to South Sound Speedway for their second date of the season. I missed the first race when Brittany Zamora won because my car, Dale Jr., was in the transmission hospital. The Northwest Super Late Models will be there for 125 laps on that fast little 3/8 mile track, along with, again, the mini stocks and the Lexar Home Legends. And you all know I am looking forward to that race, as well as the Miller 200 in August at South Sound Speedway, because South Sound Speedway is the local track where you can go for absolutely wonderful food, then stay to see some awesome racing. That's where you will see me on August 4th and on the 18th, which is also my older brother Richard's birthday, and also Gary Lewis's birthday. Happy birthday. Then I'll probably take a weekend off after 4 straight weekends of racing. Oh, these super late models will still be running at Evergreen on the 25th, but that is also a state fair weekend, and I don't want to be anywhere around when the state fair comes to Monroe. No need to wade into bad traffic problems. I really don't need to do that. I can do that right here in Seattle. Oh, that is also the last weekend. Monster Energy Cup has an off weekend before they get into their 10 race playoffs. They have 2 races and then they go into the playoffs. And with that, NASCAR, I finally get around to why I have chosen to dress in this attire for this episode of In the Pits with me, StockCar Scott. I know the suspense is killing you. Last weekend at Loudon, New Hampshire, the NBCSN on-screen talent said that a fan poll that they ran suggested they dress like I usually do on In the Pits with me, StockCar Scott. So I decided I would put a twist on this week's episode and dress the way I feel they should stick to dressing as the high-paid on-air talent that they are. At least the racing at New Hampshire was better than it usually is after the rain abated. Maybe it washed away enough of the traction compound NASCAR applied to the track surface to not give either lane a distinct advantage. By the end of the day, Kevin Happy Harvick was able to remind the Toad that how you race is how you get raced, using a much more gentle tap to move the number 18 out of the racing groove there at New Hampshire. More so than the driver of the 18 had used, much more gentle than he had used a few weeks before at Chicagoland to plow through the number 42 Camaro for his 5th win of the season. The Toad didn't seem to care that much after the race of being on the wrong end of a winning punt. But you know, if you don't like that kind of racing, don't even watch. Well, we all know in circle track racing what goes around comes around, especially with a strategically timed and placed tap in the right place. Oh, the next race is at Pocono on Sunday if there isn't rain. And coming out of turn 3 at Pocono Speedway is a great place to employ the bump and run, as once perfectly executed by Jeremy Mayfield on the Intimidator, Dale by God Earnhardt himself. That's quite a few years before Jeremy Mayfield made some seriously bad personal lifestyle choices that got him out of NASCAR. Come to think about it, that race was rain delayed and run on a Monday. And I won't tell y'all why I can remember that day so vividly. Let's just say it was eventful for me too, because of some seriously bad personal lifestyle choices. Not as bad as Jeremy Mayfield's, but correcting those mistakes put me on a path that ended with me being up here in the Pacific Northwest. So enough about me. While I've been up here in the Pacific Northwest, one of the things that I've learned, one of the biggest races of the summer up here in prize money and otherwise, is the Montana 200 at Kalispell. I have never been to a Montana 200, but my wife and I did go there for a couple of K&N West races several summers ago. Whoa, Kalispell is a nice little place to visit with a sweet little track, but it is just too far for us to travel for a non-NASCAR weekend. As I said in the last show, Preston Peltier was there and sat on the pole for the big race, but Jeremy Doss was there too, and I think he qualified third, then went on to be victorious for a second time in the 200-lap Montana Classic. From the Snowball Derby in Pensacola, Florida, to the Summer Showdown in Monroe, Washington, I have been seeing a lot of Jeremy Doss in his number 75, and I must say I really like what I see out of that young Northern Californian, and I hope to see him race again real soon if possible. Also, here in the Pacific Northwest, over in the Inland Empire side of Northern Oregon, the West Coast late models had their third and final 100-lap race at Hermiston Speedway on Saturday night, which was won by Walla Walla driver Jake Klingenberg in only his third race with the West Coast late models. I hope he gets to race more with the West Coast late model series, so I might get a chance to see him. But that won't be until at least September, because as I've already said, August is really a busy time for racing on this side of the Cascades. Oh. One series that isn't busy during August is the Formula One series, as they prepare to take an imposed vacation break for the first 3 weeks of next month, after they end July with the Grand Prix of Hungary. Hamilton has won there several times, so he should be confident going into that race, especially after coming from 14th place on the starting grid at Hockenheim to win the German Grand Prix and his 66th Formula One event. This happened after chief rival Sebastian Vettel crashed out of his home Grand Prix. After the summer vacation, when all race shops are required to close, the F1 Tour picks up again in Belgium at Spa-Francorchamps the end of August. Meanwhile, NASCAR Cup will be in the heart of its summer schedule with Pocono, Watkins Glen, Michigan, and the Bristol Night Race. And the Xfinity Series won't be with Cup every weekend, so we might get some new winners in that series. And we might see a few Cup drivers in the Camping World Truck Series during that time, because it serves as the support race a couple of weekends with the Monster Energy Cup guys. Now, ARCA has a race this Friday at Pocono on Fox Sports 1, but after that, they are on that MAV TV for all of August, and I don't get the MAV TV. Maybe I'll follow them online, but I will be so busy going to local racing events that I'll probably forget. That happens a lot here lately. Well, I had something really nice to say about a local chain department store this time, but that got undone earlier this week when I returned to them for an exchange. Well, they only allow returns, it seems, so the item that I went in to exchange had gone off sale, and I had to leave without a replacement. I didn't exactly leave satisfied, mainly because the item was the first piece of new NASCAR apparel I have seen in a local department store in over 2 years. And I was surprised and now quite disappointed by the store that carried it. And the beat goes on. Well, that's enough for this episode. Like I said, with all the racing I'm going to be attending, I probably won't have time to do a show before late next month. So, until the next episode of In the Pits, please go see some racing too. Remember, this weekend is Evergreen Speedway with the NASCAR Northwest Tour Champions Reunion, the Northwest Super Late Models and Speedway Chevrolet Super Late Model Combine for 125 laps. Then next weekend is the Miller 200 for Super Late Models at South Sound Speedway, followed by a return to Evergreen Speedway for 100 Speedway Chevrolet Super Late Model laps and 175 laps of NASCAR K&N West Series racing on the big 5/8 mile track. Then back down to South Sound Speedway for 125 more laps by the Northwest Super Late Model Series. So, as you now know, I plan to be busy, and I hope to see a multitude of race fans over the next 4 weekends, because all 4 of these events are big deals for the tracks that have them and the racing community. So, if you enjoy racing and you want to see some of the best racing in the Pacific Northwest that we have to offer, then you need to get out to the track this month. That's where you'll find me, StockCar Scott. If not, you can always see me and the races I go to here on the YouTube, where I will produce another of these little shows about motorsports and stuff. I like to call In the Pits with me, StockCar Scott, when I feel like it. I hope everyone gets out to their local track this weekend, because all races matter. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it very much, considering that's 23 minutes you ain't never getting back. TTFN.